Tattoo cover-ups are done in stages, 3 stages. Stage 1 is your structures, stage 2 is your midtones, and stage 3 is your highlights and opaques. The reason why we do it this way is to make sure that the skin takes the ink, it heals well, and we can come back to place in the next stage. Sometimes, on occasion, depending on the design, we might be able to do all 3 stages at once. It's unusual, but it can be done in some cases. In this particular case, we did structure. So stage 1 is just putting the blacks down, or anything that would be a very, very dark shade of gray. This is what we would call a messy stage. I'm trying to confuse the way your original tattoo looks. So if somebody looks at it now, they can very clearly see the new structure that's gone in because it is jet black as opposed to the mid-tone gray. However, they can't quite see the finished product. Stage 2 is where the magic happens. So we're taking the elements from black ink and white ink, we're mixing them together to get best version of covering happening. What I mean by that is black ink, when you place it into the skin, has a tendency to spread slightly into the immediate tissue around it. White ink, however, is very good at packing, so it tessellates on itself really, really well. You end up with this beautifully packed set of ink, and it looks amazing. So when you put the 2 inks together, depending on what inks you're using and what brands you're using, you kind of get a midway point between both properties. So I've got black that's dragging the now mixed white into the surrounding tissue, and I've got white that's making sure that everything's packed in nicely and tessellated well. So this is stage 2. Stage 2 is your midtones. Stage 2 is exactly that. You're mixing your black into your white to create your mid-tone gray. Now, a bit like changing your wall color from a dark wall color to a light wall color, you are putting in a primer. Your mid-tone is your primer. It covers that area, and it allows you, once it's healed, to come back and put in your highlights and opaques. Stage 3 is your highlights and opaques. So when you do your highlights, you are taking your neat white or really soft versions of that gray, super soft, and you're just gently pushing them into the area. You're not doing much more than that. You're just pushing those whites into the very, very points that are the highlight points. If you're pushing those whites over top of your mid-tone grays, they tend to sit really nicely on top of it. So we don't have to fight with the ink that's underneath of it. Here's the thing. When you come in to get your cover-ups done, once it's done by me, that's it. This is the last chance to learn. The reason I say that is I'm putting the ink in such a way, it is saturating the skin in such a way, there's no other way for you to cover this over unless you wanted to completely cover it in black. So a cover-up tattoo is built to be clean, structured, and to last. That can be realism, that can be black and gray, but it can't be open areas of skin. We need contrast and we need details. There's no tricks to this. It is just proper planning and execution. That's it. That's cover-ups. Take care of yourselves. Bye.